Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Please be seated. I don't have a written sermon today. Let me tell you about my vacation. And let me tell you about what I've been thinking about. I spent a couple of days packing, and then Wayne went to the hospital for 3 days. He's okay. He was dehydrated, and his blood pressure medication needed to be adjusted. So it was a good vacation. I got a lot of rest, but his family was there. So they were at the house. Wayne was in the hospital. Okay. So what I want to talk about is, and we can help have a little bit of conversation about this, is the words "in God we trust." It's July 4th. We celebrate the joy of being a free nation, freed from the Empire of Britain, according to our Declaration of Independence, which was only for rich white people. And on our coins, we now have the words "in God we trust." And that started in the Civil War, at the beginning of the Civil War, 1861-ish, when a person wrote to the then president and said, "We need to have a motto for our nation." And so this is a motto that was finally adopted, and it's been on coins and bills ever since. In the 1950s, we added in to the Pledge of Allegiance, under God, that we are one nation under God. My dilemma is, and you can help me figure this out, so this is an interactive sermon. What God do we trust in? There's the God of the rich white people who wrote the Declaration. There's the God of the Iroquois Indian chiefs who were present when the Declaration was being written, and the Declaration put us in sync with the way the Iroquois governed themselves. So we wanted to have independent groups come together as one group. And yet at that signing of the Declaration, or at that writing of the Declaration, the chiefs were there from many different Iroquois tribes. And in the Declaration, it says we are against those savages. I don't know how hard it would be to sit there and hear those words. And then in the Civil War, certainly there were a lot of issues with which God are we going to worship, the God of the white people or the God of the black people? Or do the black people have to worship the same way the white people do to be accepted and to be part of this group that we are? And then the Native Americans, again, have a great spirit that they worship, that they live and walk in sync with. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, is to walk with our God and be part of our God. And then the 1950s again brought this huge resurgence in the church, and we had to all believe in this one God. And this was the God of Protestant white Americans. And we struggle with this. We're still struggling with this. So, any thoughts from the congregation about which God we worship? The God of money, the God of white people, the God of other people, the God that the Muslims have brought with them, the God of the Jewish people who have come to seek refuge here. My godparents are Jewish. My son converted to Islam. Which God? Which God do we trust in? Ideas? You can text me.
I think that there's one God, but I think that as human beings, we have identified that one God in different ways, so that the different gods are really the one God. We all believe that there is a God.
So we all believe in a greater, something greater than us that created all of this, regardless of which religion we follow or what we call God. Okay, thank you. That's a very broad explanation. How many of you agree with that? Yeah, all right, cool.
Mother Lou,
Yes.
Linda had a good point. Also, too, what I just thought of when you said that was, many of us in our houses, we have a picture of Jesus where he's 6 foot something or other, blonde hair, bright blue eyes, right? And we all know Jesus did not look like that. He couldn't have looked like that based on where he was born. He was born in the Middle East. So that's where we need God to be like us. And I think that's where all the change has happened.
We make
Everybody
God
has their
in-
own God that we think is like us.
We make God in our image.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yet we were all created in his image.
But maybe the idea of what we are created isn't how we look, it's how we act and think and behave.
So by our actions, will people know that we are Christian? By my actions, I am sometimes condemned. Any other thoughts? Ponder these issues because there are things that divide us still as a nation. And if we can recognize that other people worship some kind of spirit, some kind of goodness, some kind of greatness that created all of us, created all of this earth and all of this universe, then we have an obligation to honor the universe. We have an obligation to honor the planet. We have an obligation to honor one another. It may be loving is hard at sometimes, but at least honoring. I hear you. I know you as beloved. And sometimes in the grocery store, that's hard. You know, there's pictures of people in different stores who dress differently than I do. And I'm thinking, God is in that person. God is in that person. We are blessed. We are blessed in so many ways, and we have so many things to be thankful for. And we need to share our blessings and know that this God that we trust in is abundant and powerful and everywhere, in every breath we breathe. So how's the dreaded God moment going? People on Zoom, do you have anything to say? Put it in the chat, please. And we will continue with our service. Isn't this nice to have all this up here and have the stuff out of the way? And Uncle Rick can hear us. We could applaud. Rick. Rick and Mark, also Rick and Mark have done so much work in the past several weeks that they have almost lived in the church and lived in this little room back here. You know, it's the man behind the curtain now. So what a joy. For communion, we will still receive the wafers, and I'll serve the wafers from on the floor rather than at the communion rail. So we'll still do that. Anything else I need to know? You're bringing the money forward at some point in time. And we're just kind of still figuring things out. What planet are we on and what day is it and how are we going to do this? But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here on Zoom, and I'm glad the cameras are up. I can see there's a camera back there that's watching me, and I've been looking at you and forgetting to look at the camera so that the folks at home know that I also see them. So blessings, my friends, and God's peace be with you.